socialists.
Oh my God.
Good evening, people. Welcome to the Brews at 10. I'm your host, Lefty. Hope you're all well this evening, Brew Chat shows. A day of mixed emotions here at my left eye. Extreme highs and extreme lows. I'll be going through both on tonight's stream. I'm sure you've heard about the incident in Manchester today, especially if you're from the UK, or even if you haven't. And I will be getting into things in a bit more detail, but just wanted to kick off, of course, showing the Manchester Bee there at the start of the show. Just hope all the communities are staying strong in Crumpsall and everywhere else around Manchester. Solidari-Tea, everybody. But also the extreme emotions of the summer Flotilla, which we've all been gripped to for a couple of days now. And I was watching that intensely live yesterday. I tried to post a few updates last night. Couldn't really get a stream together though, unfortunately, people, but tried to keep you updated if you follow us on social media, which you should, at My Left Eye UK, by the way. Most of the boats were intercepted, but most being the apparently operative word, it does seem that at least one ship, the Meccano, got through, so that's incredible news. Of course, many others have been illegally detained, kidnapped by Zionist pirates. But what an effort. We'll be looking into a bit of that, as well as just across the pond in the United States, a small matter of, you know, the entire government shutting down. It's just more of a dead cat story, really. So yeah, we'll try and keep up with the latest on that. They both, that is Democrats and Republicans, taking swipes at one another. But how are you brewing this evening? Let us know in the chat. Thanks a lot for throwing up the Palestine watermelons. Looks as though everyone's doing okay. Odin Allfather was first in. Aaron Gray, Floor Snakes with us too. Graham Turner, Viva Viva Palestina. Moshi's with us, great to see you, Moshi. Solidari-Tea, everybody. And we have Doc in the house. Good to see the chat filling up with good old brew crew. Yeah, hope everybody's well this evening. It's been so bizarre today, it really has. Literally at the same time as trying to get verification of which vessels on the flotilla had been intercepted, the news was coming through. I was watching that live earlier this afternoon as it was happening. Very bizarre, yeah. Both things going on at the same time. Do have a few other bits and pieces coming up as well, concerning my fellow activists. Regular viewers will know that I'm a political and environmental activist myself, non-violent direct action, that is. But a few of my comrades, a few of my friends, well, one of them is up for election today in a local by-election. I'll just be talking a little bit about that. And a few other friends of mine had a trial. This is friends from JSO. A trial for the M25 gantry action. which was back in November 22. Yeah, so be take a look at that as well. I've got an interview that I did with the friend of mine, Paul Bowers, he's called, standing for the Green Party in a local council by-election where he's from. So it's an interview I did with him as part of a JSO thing. Just a few weeks before that aforementioned gantry action took place, actually. So I'll be sharing that with you. Pulled that one up from the archives. Okay, make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream as you join us, people. That'll help us spread far and wide. This great thing that is Brewdism. But this incident in Manchester is already a socio-political minefield. We'll try and navigate it successfully as we get into that. Let's give the members a shout out first. Just need to refresh that stream as well. Sorry about the lag there. Thanks everybody. I do appreciate your support. Thanks for renewing memberships recently, as well as gifting to others. Really does help. Other ways you can support the channel with super chats, which are open if you're watching live. If you're watching back later on, you might want to consider a super thanks. Membership costs just 99p, by the way, and lots of perks, so check them out. Thank you very much, members. And there's also a Buy Me a Coffee page, by the way. Just check out the description in the stream, on the stream, or any other content. You should find that there. Oh my goodness, that's the wrong one. I'll just cut out the background music accidentally then. Yeah, I think that's all the plugs and things done. Kick off with a comedy clip, or two actually. Got a double bill. Both by the same content provider. The first one's only a short one. I just thought I'd might as well chuck them together since they came out, since I was last with you. When was that? Tuesday? Sorry, just having a scroll through the chat there. Morbius has just joined us, and Stu as well. How do you brew, good people? Right, I've got everything in order, I think. Yeah, I can see a bit of discussion about the incident in the chat there and stuff. probably be kicking off the stories with that after the comedy clips. There are a few questions that I have, curiosities.
Curiouser and curiouser.
But no, seriously though, so far communities are sticking together over this, which is really great to see. Just got a couple of bookmarks lined up. There we go. Alright, double bill from Matt Green, who features regularly on the Brews at 10. He's a great YouTuber as well. Go and subscribe, check out his stuff. Always do free plugs for quality content, so do enjoy this. I'll just play the two videos back to back. Like I said, the first one's only short, and then it gets into the news format that we're all familiar with. But it's really good, and we could use a cheering up today, I think, after everything that's happened.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Hi, I'm Johnny Smash. Comedian, truth teller, Guinness World Record holder for the number of times I asked, what do you do in a comedy special? You might know me from my sellout comedy tours. Yeah, I said it, uncancelled. Never apologise, never explain. To be clear, that's my motto, and those women are liars. I've always believed that comedy is about smashing boundaries and crushing sensibilities. Liberals, watch out. I'll take on any taboo and slaughter any sacred cow. Wokeness. White privilege when suntan lotion's this expensive? I don't think so. Transness. If a man can identify as a woman, can I identify as being exempt from tax? Seriously, is that possible? Joe Biden's old. Joe Biden's so old he remembers black and white TV. Yeah, I said it. It's all about freedom of speech, baby. Facts don't care about your feelings. And if you can't take a joke, then just grow a pair. Now I'm here today to tell you about my new tour where I go to all the places that people said I couldn't go and speak my truth. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I don't think women should drive. Have you seen them try to park? Maybe those journalists didn't disappear, they just got lost because they were relying on Apple Maps. Because it is bad. Don't talk to me about human rights. Last time I went to Starbucks, my coffee was cold. Where's my human rights? He knows what I'm talking about. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Kim Jong-un? Kim Jong unbelievably great, am I right? Have you guys seen K-pop? Oh, you're not allowed. Well, that's good, because you're not missing anything. Because, you know, like, synchronized flag waving is much cooler. And I'm not just saying that because of the contract. The Intergalactic Empire of Krog. I actually think harvesting humans for fuel is no more than we deserve. I mean, have you seen Love Island? 1,000 years of intergalactic servitude? We've earned it. Book your tickets now. Or don't. They're paying me either way. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has been accused of being obsessed with Nigel Farage by a media which wants to remind him that that's their job. Our Nigels, Farages and Nigel Farage's correspondent, Jonathan Goodenough, has more. Yes, that's right. After months of cratering polls for the government and it looking ever more likely that Nigel Farage could be the next Prime Minister, Keir Starmer has finally turned his attention to the leader of Reform UK, which is actually a bit creepy, actually. What? I mean, why is he so obsessed with Nigel? He's not interested. Leave it. Jonathan? I mean, was Sir Keir Starmer there with Nigel at every question time, every debate, every time he appeared at a pub with a pint in his hand? Well, I was, and I can tell you that Nigel isn't like unlike other politicians, he sees me. He really sees me. Jonathan, sorry. Reform UK have hit back at claims that Starmer made in his speech that all Reform UK voters are racist and caring about immigration makes you a bigot. Did he actually say those things? Well, Reform said he did, and I'm just reporting the story. So what did Starmer actually say? Well, some guff about loving this country and national renewal and tough choices, blah, blah, blah. But what's more interesting is how Nigel reacted to it. Why? What did he say? He said he was shocked by the speech and accused Starmer of trying to incite violence against Reform members. That sounds very serious. Did Starmer do that? Well, it depends on what you mean by inciting violence. Is tweeting that you want people to be burned alive inciting violence? Well, yes, of course. No, Reform aren't that bothered by that. Really? As long as the people you're talking about aren't Reform voters, right? But Starmer accused Farage of stoking division and having racist policies, which is basically like telling everyone to shoot him in the head. This is all quite confusing. No, it's very simple. If you have legitimate concerns about immigration, you can say what you like. If you have legitimate concerns about anything else, you can't. And don't. Don't what? Have legitimate concerns. Right. So how has this speech gone down? With Nigel? Well, like I said, not great. No, with the general public. I don't know. Do you want me to ask them? Really? It's just a bit of a faff, isn't it? I prefer going to Nigel. He always gives a good soundbite. Thank you, Jonathan. Next up, as David Lammy has to walk back comments that Nigel Farage flirted with the Hitler Youth as a schoolboy, we ask, why go back in history when he's been flirting with a contemporary orange fascist for years?
Very good, Mr. Matt Green. Yeah, always have a zoom in on the tour dates, check them out if you're at any of these locations. Starting very soon, actually, in just a couple of weeks in Leicester. Several stops on the tour, finishing in Brighton at the end of November, so do check them out if you get the chance. I'll crack on with the incident in Manchester first, I think. No, Aaron, I didn't see the unclassified interviews, but I do have one of the Owen Jones interviews that I'll be featuring on the stream tonight. Because, you know, all these parachuted in candidates don't like it when they get asked serious questions. I'll try and catch up with that unclassified stuff as well. They do great work. For anyone who's not heard of them before. Do you mean declassified? Or is it unclassified? Is it declassified? Is that what you mean? That might be a separate channel. I don't know. Flowsnake, well, I don't know about a no-score draw between Farage and Keith, but could be perhaps a lose-lose. It is for everybody in the country, at least. Yeah, there is all this. Oh, you got what you wanted. We left the European Union. That was going to be the miracle solution, wasn't it? And then, oh no, look, what's this? It's it's statistics, isn't it? About how many EU and non-EU migrants coming into the UK. Let's just oh dear, it doesn't look particularly good, does it? It's like a reverse fucking hockey stick. So yeah, I'll just quickly fill you in with details, a few main details for anybody who hasn't heard the news yet. I've got a clip in a moment which is longer and less censored than the one that's been going around mainstream media. There's no gore in it, that is blurred out. I wasn't there, by the way, on the scene, the video I've got. Obviously, being in the area, not far away, that is, a few people have been able to share some stuff that hasn't hit the mainstream media on their social media, so have a look at that. But the general details, in fact, just before I came on stream, the attacker was named. It was an attack at a synagogue, today being part of Yom Kippur, Jewish religious celebration, and at first he rammed or attempted to ram people with his car, and then he got out and stabbed a few people, including the security guard at the school, which is where this incident took place, outside of a school. The security guard is confirmed to have been killed, unfortunately, along with another member of the public. The attacker in question at first appeared to be wearing what looked like a belt. There were videos and pictures being shown at the time live. I recall there was some confusion before it was confirmed as to whether he had one of these belts on. A short time later, literally minutes later, which I'll be getting into in a moment, one of the potentially strange elements about this, a short time later the police arrived, armed police arrived on the scene. The attacker was shot once. He tried to get up and then he was shot again and died at the scene. There were then controlled explosions. However, it turns out that the belt, this apparent bomb vest, wasn't legitimate. It was a prop of some sort. It was clearly making it look as though he had that intention, but that also just came out a short time before I came on the stream. So you see there, the attack has been named as, and it's very bizarre, but his name is Jihad al-Shami, and he's of Syrian descent, it says, but he is a British citizen. Just very clear, he's a British citizen, because let's be honest, we know that a few people are going to try and take political advantage of this situation, shall we say. So it isn't a migrant, it isn't an asylum seeker. "35 years old. Was granted citizenship as a minor, so more or less been a citizen the whole life. But I'm also at the moment appalled with the way the news and politicians have been jumping the gun straight away, and I'm going to be analysing Starmer's announcement about this. As to motivation, that is, clearly this is appalling. Two people have been killed, including the rabbi of the synagogue, I believe, was stabbed. Really awful and very close to home. This happening not far away from where this stream's coming to you from, and everybody's been talking about it today, like I said. So that's generally the case at the moment. I do have, like I said, some extended footage of it here, but you won't have seen this on mainstream media. Oh, I should have pointed out as well there, just in the brief description. Sorry I didn't do a very good job of this ad-lib filling you in, for anybody who doesn't know. But there were also arrests at a separate location, which is about a quarter of a mile away from where the incident took place. And initially 2 people were arrested, but now a third has been arrested on suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. So motivational questions might come into this, and especially as to whether this is the choice of an individual, this jihad, which again it's very bizarre to which it translates to holy war, but it's strange to say the name nonetheless. However, what was I going to say there? Yeah, whether they were put up to it or decided to do it themselves, whether this could be some sort of organised thing. And that's another thing that I think has to be gotten to the bottom of before the media and politicians go on television and make statements. That's not to rule out that it could be exactly what it seems to be. It might also not exactly be what it seems to be. I'll get into that later. But if this is any sort of racially motivated attack, if it's anti-Semitic, then obviously it's abhorrent, disgusting, should not stand, and that's one reason why communities are standing together. And they do. In Crumpsall, in Prestwich, in Whitefield, Cheetham Hill, these areas, these parts of North Manchester, having very strong communities, also multi-ethnic communities as well, that generally do get on very peacefully. I was up that way not too long ago myself. Prestwich, for example, has around 50% Jewish citizenship. And if you walk up any of the main roads around Crumpsall, Prestwich, Cheetham Hill and so on, you'll walk past all creeds and colours alike, and I guess that's just why this is equally shocking. Just before I show you this clip, just before I forget to mention this as well, another bizarre element to this is, with obviously everything that comes across the mainstream media, that is, comes through the mainstream media, concerning Palestine, I did want to actually go there and perhaps for the channel interview residents of Prestwich, Crumpsall, Cheetham Hill, and ask them how the communities are. You know, people are getting on with the neighbours, but also a lot of people here know what's going on. They recognise the genocide, and that is, people of all faiths and no faith recognise the genocide here in North Manchester. So I did actually want to go into areas such as Crumpsall and potentially do that sort of thing. I think perhaps after this, maybe I still will, and maybe that's even more reason to do it as well. You know, checking in on the communities who have been affected by this. So yeah. What can you say? My heart goes out to them, all the victims and their families alike. I don't directly know anybody who was involved with this, I have to say. But I do know people that I know live in the areas, and they're utterly shocked and appalled. Yeah, it is quite thoroughly depressing, but it's something we have to get into. Like I said, there's nothing graphic in this that I'm about to show you. It's a mobile phone footage from a member of the public. Very Salford, but this is just a bit more to what you'll see on the news. And the same person who filmed this, you'll have seen some of the clip that you're about to see now, but this is the full thing.
He's got a bob on him. He's got a bob. Mate, he's got a... Man, he's got a bob on his jacket, mate. He's trying to go into school. Mate, he stabbed him. No, he's got a bob. Get out of here.
That's the security guard there that you can see behind whoever stood up. It's blurred out. I've seen original clips of this. I'm only going to share this one with you on the stream. This blurred out one. There was a lot there. You can see it almost through the blurring. This is literally seconds after it had, literally minutes, I should say. Sorry, after it had happened.
Mate, if he detonates that... Mate, I'm just jumping out of this in a minute. He's going to blow himself up. He's trying to press the button. Man, shoot him! Fucking hell. He's got bombs on him. He's got to him. Oh. Get the fuck out of here while he's got bombs. Mate, he's dead on the floor. What? Wow.
Yeah, so pretty strong stuff there. I just want to skip to a part where there's...
He's got a bomb.
That'll do. Just, sorry, where the... not that one, just where they're not in view. Yeah, I used to live not too far away from here. So for anyone who knows Manchester, this is North Manchester. You sort of go through Salford and then you get into Prestwich, Crumpsall, those sort of areas. I didn't live too far away for a time. It's Crumpsall itself is normally pretty serene. You know, there's still a lot of in terms of the buildings, it's Tudorian, Victorian buildings there still. But as you see, you have schools, other elements, and other normal parts of community, little precincts here and there, and industrial areas and all the rest of it. So where to begin? Where to begin with this? Well, first of all, the thing about this bomb vest not being real. Don't know what all that's about. Should point out as well, this he failed to get into the school. Obviously, he tried to smash through the glass with a knife. Apparently, that's what eyewitnesses said. People were locked inside. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, part of Yom Kippur means that people inside aren't looking through the social media or watching the television. They were praying. They were at prayer whilst this started to happen. I'm led to believe that people were still praying as they left the building and continued to afterwards. But with it being Yom Kippur, they're not using the mobile phones, they're not watching the television. They must have been terrified inside, not having that information, They didn't know if it was just one person. It could have been multiple people. It turns out it was just one man. This is what we're told. The response time was 7 minutes before armed police arrived on scene. There is apparently a procedure for this now. If that is the reason why they showed up so quickly, then I guess it's just good execution of the Met Police here in Greater Manchester. Should point out that's different from the Met in London, who've been in the news recently as well for all the wrong reasons. Allegations of racism, misogyny, etc. That's a separate story though. Don't want to get on a side tangent. Back to this though. Just there in 7 minutes. Now this, I'm not sure if this protocol was set up after the Southwark Bridge attack. Do you remember that one? It's quite a while ago now. A long time ago, but it's the one where they stopped the assailant with a narwhal tusk. It sounds crazy. Do you remember this? A member of the public just happened to be carrying, for some reason, a narwhal tusk and attacked the guy. So that, along with other things, have perhaps led to the hastiness of their arrival. Just need to bring the music back in. The track's run out. Just have a quick scan in the chat, see what people are saying about this. Well, yeah, I see your point there, Davinia, but a lot of people's first instincts is to sort of film stuff. It might only be mine just because of sort of what I do. But maybe, I don't know, probably your instincts might be to get out of there, because the police did shout at everybody to clear the area because it looked as though he had an explosive device, which apparently it turns out was phony. Although there were some controlled explosions from the defusal squad after they arrived. Thoroughly depressing. I'm going to go on to Starmer's announcement in a moment, though. We might hopefully be able to raise our spirits in a maybe potentially dark humour, but over his announcement of this in lieu of PMQs, I do have an alternative counter set up. I'm wondering if you can guess what might be involved there. Moshi, are there any details released about why it didn't work? It's my understanding that it wasn't just it didn't work. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a bomb. It was a prop, or it just wanted people to think that he had one. It could be the case that he knows fuck all about how to acquire or make one, but he wanted to use it as a threat to make his way into the... I don't know what motives he might have had. Ignore what I said for the last 5 seconds. That was just pure nonsense speculation. But it's my understanding that it isn't actually legitimate. It wasn't actually legitimately a bomb. If anyone else knows differently, please inform me. In fact, we'll just double check the live stream. The live feed, I should say, because it did mention a little bit about the device or not device. Of course, you know who's thrown his 2 cents in here. Oh, I want to check actually if I downloaded another clip. Oh, I might have forgotten to do it. I might try and dig it up. Like Benjamin Netanyahu reminded me. Speaking of bullshit, Sheila Fogarty was already on LBC trying to link these sort of incidents to the Palestine marches in London as well. She's doing. I'm not saying it's all of them, but there's there's elements and there's a few of them. She just is, awful, and so soon as well. I mean, I'll be honest. When I first started talking about this on my personal social media earlier, a couple of people that I know ended up getting into a bit of an argument actually in the comments. One of them initially suggested the idea of a false flag. Somebody else immediately responded and jumped in about jumping to conclusions, and I don't know how it came about, but then they accused that person of being a racist, or as bad as a racist. But it has come up. My point was, though, that the speculation and jumping to conclusions has happened immediately where the mainstream media is concerned. That's the very first thing that they do. They want to know, there would have been people, and there have been other situations recently, like the Charlie Kirk thing, sort of praying about what they wanted the ethnicity or the political motivation, if any, of the perpetrator to be. So that's all the mainstream media do. The BBC want to know if they, and especially Reform voters, would have been like, oh, please let it be, and this will be good enough for them. They came to this country when they were 6 years old, I think it said in the little bio earlier. So they'll be jumping all over that. A lot of people will be jumping over all this. Netanyahu already has all the other IOs, will of course. But yeah, where spurious links are concerned, then just look to the mainstream media and people like Sheila Fogarty, because she's full of shit. I mean, it won't surprise me if it was a false flag. This isn't going to be an opening of another case in the My Left Private Eye files at the moment. I'm not going there on the live stream. I'd like to know your thoughts in the chat though. If it is one, then it's an absolutely disgusting, sick tactic, well, as they generally are. I don't know if you can hear a bit of whistling. Sorry, people. It's the wind. It's getting quite stormy here this evening. Storm Amy is supposedly going to start hitting us pretty hard tonight. So if you hear any whistling in the background, it's not me. I still have my own teeth. I mean, I'm not old, but yeah, it's not someone just casually whistling in the background either. If the filters and compressors I've got don't stop it. What do you think? I just plug it in and don't put any filters or EQ. That's quality streaming, people. And what are you saying about this, Brew Chat Chores? Yeah, Moshi, a little suspicious that someone who's ready to do something like that will get it totally wrong. A few things don't add up. We did, of course, have the incident at the arena here in Manchester back in the day as well. I meant to say, in that somewhat heightened up general security, but you go to schools in Crumpsall, Prestwich, whatever now, a lot of them have, it is bizarre, and if it is warranted, if it is necessary, then it really is an indicator of where society's at. But security guards, and we're talking like they have a security hut and barriers and fences all the way around. Fortunately, it kept this guy out of the school. Whatever the situation is with this device, this bomb vest, whatever it was, he didn't manage to get into the school because he was obviously still armed with the knife. So goodness knows what would have happened if he'd gotten in there. Fortunately, all of the rest of the, apart from the rabbi and the security guard, were kept safe inside. 2 people at the moment, or it might be 3, forgive me, but they remain seriously injured in a critical condition in hospitals which were put on lockdown actually following the incident. There's no noise in the background. Oh, that's good, because it's starting to howl a little, and we're coming into spooky season. God, I nearly made a really, really dark joke then, and I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. It's too soon. Netanyahu seems to take a swipe at Starmer over the attack, Moshi. Yeah, good point. Well, let's have a look at Keith and what he said about it anyway. So let's, like I said, have to forgive me. This is slightly dark humour given the circumstances of why it's appearing. But I just want to be very clear, I'm not trying to make light of the situation itself. But just in lieu, as I said, of Prime Minister's questions, like we would have normally had yesterday, I've prepared something of an alternative over this announcement about the incident from Starmer. I was going to make a little tag video for it, but I didn't have the fucking time. I've had other stuff to do, and the new members video and uploading all the other clips. Right, where is it? Where did I put it?
He's got a bubble, man. He's got a bubble.
So,
good evening.
Here he is. Just need to make sure I've got that monitored. I can hear it. It's really simple, the same as we do for Keith's catchphrases, but with a twist. We're going to count how many times he says Britain in this speech. We're going to start the counter off on 2 because he's flanked by a pair of flags. So, yeah, he already gets 2 just for that. And it really struck me as quite incredible how many times he says it in this announcement.
Earlier today, on Yom Kippur, the holiest day for the Jewish community, a vile individual committed a terrorist attack that attacked Jews because they are Jews, and attacked Britain because of our values.
Just want to interject very quickly there. That might be the case, however, we don't know that for certain. The attacking Jews because they're Jews, i.e. anti-Semitic attack. Can we confirm that as a motivation, or are you just putting two and two together? Do maybe Starmer and or MI5, whoever, have access to other information about this incident or political motivations? Because if not, then that's a very bold thing to say, quite a hyperbolic thing to say, because otherwise, for all you know, this could have been a random attack. All the eyewitnesses, by the way, said that the guy said nothing. He didn't say anything during the whole thing, from the moment he got out of the car until he was shot for the second time and then dropped dead. He didn't say one word. All of the witnesses corroborated that he didn't say one word. So if there was some sort of racial motivation, might they have said something about it? If there was some sort of political motivation, might they have said something about it? So again, I think it's just a bit hyperbolic to jump the gun, if you'll pardon the expression. Or even if you don't, because I've already used it. Sorry.
So many Jewish families first came to this country as a place of refuge, fleeing the greatest evil ever inflicted on a people. And Britain welcomed them. Communities like the one attacked in Manchester provided safety.
Well, we did, to a certain extent. Obviously, not as much as Palestine did. Palestine were the only country who accepted the Holocaust refugees en masse. Not a single European country wanted to do that, including the United Kingdom. But it is good, obviously, that we do have diversity in our country and in our communities. As I've mentioned Prestwich in these areas several times already. Just wanted to, where history is concerned, just a slight correction there. That's another matter.
But also the security that comes from a promise that this is a country that stands up to hatred, and that we don't just provide refuge, we provide a home. For so many Jewish families, that is the story of Britain. But Britain is also a country where Jewish buildings, synagogues, even schools require round-the-clock protection, where dedicated specialist security is necessary because of the daily threat of anti-Semitic hatred. Today's horrific incident shows why. And while this is not a new hate, this is something Jews have always lived with, we must be clear. It is a hatred that is rising once again, and Britain must defeat it once again. On behalf of the nation, I want to offer my condolences to the families and victims affected. I want to thank the Greater Manchester Police, the first...
Well, I want to come in as well about the so-called rise of anti-Semitic attacks. We do know now a certain proportion of those will contain people who have simply criticised Israel. That's the thing with this AS scam now. But where legitimate cases are concerned, and again, they may not be on the rise as much as Starmer's alluding to, could be being completely hyperbolic. Starmer's not alone in that. But where genuine cases are concerned, historically, in sociological terms, there is an overwhelmingly strong correlation between rises in anti-Semitism and the far right. And we know the most obvious example of that through history, of course. One sad irony about the so-called Tommy Robinson March was that a lot of those idiots waving Israel flags would also be anti-Semites themselves. The two go hand in hand. The man on your screen has opened the door for the far right in his mission to suppress any true socialist in the Labour Party and outside the Labour Party as well. But whilst he's been busy demeaning the left, the genuine left, because the shit show that is Labour at the moment now really isn't any form of democratic socialism that anyone who knows anything about politics can recognise. But it's because of him. It's because of him. And this is what it causes, this is what it does. All forms of racism increase as the far right are given licence by people like Keir Starmer and the Tories before him. So that's very hypocritical of him. Any concern for a rise in anti-Semitism in the UK, he's really got to check his own books, have a look in the mirror. His own wife is Jewish, I believe. And he returned from Denmark earlier to have a Cobra meeting about this. I hope potentially someone at that Cobra meeting with a bit of sense might have warned him that this is what had happened. Flags, flags, flags. Nationalism, patriotism, renewal of patriotism, all this stuff feeds the far right. So check your own books, Keith.
Responders and those dedicated security specialists. There is no doubt whatsoever that they have prevented an even greater tragedy, and we thank them for their bravery. But to every Jewish person in this country, I also want to say this. I know how much fear you will be holding inside of you. I really do. And so, on behalf of our country, I express my...
Yeah, he really does, because he helped create it himself.
...my solidarity, but also my sadness, that you still have to live with these fears. Nobody should have to do that. Nobody. And so I promise you that I will do everything in my power to guarantee you the security that you deserve.
Yeah, just responding to that comment there from Davinia, I thought the Cobra thing, rushing back for a Cobra meeting, was a little too much. But at the time, it was an incident involving explosives. It might be part of the protocol now that he comes back in case it turned into something that happens in multiple locations or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe did seem to be a bit too dramatic, and without taking anything away from the tragedy that happened today in Crumpsall. I strongly want to emphasise that, without taking anything away from the tragedy that's happened there in the Crumpsall community. Unfortunately, a lot more people will be scrambling over this and being sympathetic, and this is only a geographical bias, I guess I have to say, and not just for the UK, but perhaps for the West in general. But while 2 people were killed at this incident today, I would imagine scores more today would have been killed in Gaza. And if such a response, such an outcry was made by Keir Starmer about those. Now, a life is a life. All lives are equal. All lives are precious. All lives are equally valuable. Perhaps not Benjamin Netanyahu's. But in terms of human life, in terms of quantifying and recognising human life, I think you have to consider that as well. And like I said, and will emphasise again, that is taking nothing away from the fact that what happened in Crump's Hall today was an abhorrent tragedy, which I do condemn, by the way, of course, in the strongest possible terms. As strongly as I condemn however many people were killed in Gaza today. For example, yesterday it was a number in the 60s. We talk about scores of people every day, at least, and then often going into the hundreds. Just a quick point there. I hope that came across right, in the right context.
Starting with a more visible police presence protecting your community. I promise you that over the coming days, you will see the other Britain, the Britain of compassion, of decency, of love. And I promise you that this Britain will come together to wrap our arms around your community and show you that Britain is a place where you and your family are safe, secure, and belong.
So it was 9 altogether. I'll just change the colour of that while it's clips off. Bada bing. Yeah, 9 times. 9 times. Very flaggy effort there from Keith, wasn't it? He announces things like that the same way he announces, maybe an update on some sort of welfare policy, or it doesn't matter. The delivery is always the same. There's no emotion in it. And yeah, in a really sickly way, trying to make it a party political broadcast at the same time, you know. We're a government that's keeping this country safe, and Britain, Britain, Britain. And how many times are you going to say Britain? Yeah, like you say, no, he just doesn't care. He just does not care. Oh yes, Moshi, thanks for sending that over to me recently as well. The Cassette Boy returns. Remember Cassette Boy? Did some great stuff when the Tories were in. And yeah, came back to do one for Keith. So thanks for getting Slim Shady stuck in my head for about a day and a half. I've not actually heard that tune for a while. They put a lot of work into those clips as well. Let's go and check them out, Cassette Boy. Yeah, boy. Alright, I have to move away from that topic now, people. You understand I've been talking about it quite a lot today as well. So at the risk of burnout, I'll just leave it there. There are more elements to talk about it, but I'm sure that this will be in the news and public consciousness for a while, so I'll catch up with anything else. Got to get onto a few other things. And this might sort of cheer you up for anybody who hasn't seen it. In terms of, I'll just try and segue here, because of Netanyahu Starmer coming up in the last part of the stream, as well as parachuted in candidates. Luke Akehurst, who's a former Israeli lobbyist, parachuted into his seat in Durham, and I know that we have a good strong regular viewer representation up there in the northeast, so I'd especially like to hear from you guys, you brew chachos in the northeast. Anybody in Durham specifically, get in touch with what you think about this turnip-faced bastard. I mean, what can you say? So Owen Jones caught him on the spot again. Not the cushy, all nicely arranged interviews that Labour have gotten used to. Owen Jones asking some serious questions about Britain's refusal to recognise the genocide in Gaza. If you want to check out the full clip, go and check out Owen Jones's page, because he also brings up the whole thing about Akehurst getting his seat in the first place. It was one of those where the previous candidate, who won fair and square, was booted out, and then they just brought in someone who's close to Starmer. If anybody is thinking about adjusting the contrast on their devices, just letting you know beforehand, this is the actual complexion of Luke Akehurst's face, so don't make any adjustments. That is actually how he looks, as though he's just got back from a very long holiday on Mercury.
I do not think it crosses the bar.
How would you describe
genocide.
how would you describe deliberately shooting children in the head and the chest?
I don't accept the G word being used even now,
Even
and
though,
nor does the British government.
even though a consensus of genocide scholars has said this is genocide.
The opinions of some people, not the opinion of the British government.
Well, who do you think we should defer to more?
The British government. I'm a Labour fucking MP. I'm going to
over genocide scholars.
Yeah.
Like
we should
Professor
listen
Omar
to our own government's legal analysis.
Right. So when P.O.V Gallant said we're cutting off all food and water because we're fighting human animals, you didn't think that was genocidal?
No, I disagree with. I think that many of the things that Israel has done have not even helped Israel. I think they've been the behaviour has been daft in a lot of circumstances. It's been reprehensible.
Daft. Oh, the silly country. You know. Deliberately targeting children. That's a bit daft, isn't it? Now, he really is backed into a corner, a rabbit in the headlights, whatever metaphors and analogies you want to use, people. Well, this says it all. Now, Owen Jones has, I know some people who would say that he's perhaps a bit of a weather vane, stuck by Starmer perhaps for a bit longer than he should have. I don't know. He does ask some good questions. He's a good journalist, as far as I'm concerned. We have far worse in this country, that's for sure. The excuses that Akehurst is trying to put out here are on par with, the worst of the worst that we've seen from Israeli spokes. Zippy Hotovelli, who fortunately recently vacated the country. David Mensa, those sort of people. Just as bad. And he's been caught out before. Someone shared a Zoom call or something, and I think this took place during COVID. And Luke Akehurst himself was using some very, he was basically anti-Semitic jokes that he was trying to put into his little speeches that he was saying in these Zoom meetings. I think one of the other people on the call had had a bit too much of it and then decided to share it to the wider world. I remember seeing that one a while ago. If I do ever come across that again, I'll make a mental note to download it. But he's a complete hypocrite. He's just your typical careerist. He's more than happy to take Israel's dirty genocide money to lie and try and put out these excuses. Who does he think he's convincing, or who do Labour in fact think that they're convincing at the moment, when the United Nations recognise it, the ICC, the ICJ, a multitude of humanitarian organisations, charities, foundations, analysers, Holocaust analysts and genocide specialists or experts. To which my mind's drawn to that meme I shared with you recently from The Onion, with the fake quote from Netanyahu saying these genocide experts have probably never carried one out in the whole lives. Just pathetic from Akehurst.
Some circumstances, I do not think it crosses the bar.
How would you describe?
Genocide.
How would you describe deliberately shooting children in the head and the chest? How would you describe that?
I'm just not sure I believe that anyone has deliberately done that.
So why have dozens of US-based medics reported, having served in Gaza, that Palestinian children have been shot in the head and the chest deliberately by Israeli snipers?
I don't believe that that's happened.
So why are they saying it?
I don't know.
Why? So you
don't know. You know, come on. But I've even used the actual clip itself in one of the videos recently, the Wizard of Oz caught behind the curtain thing. Come on, the game's up. The word undeniable and irrefusable alike don't get thrown around that much for nothing. When it's there for all to see, you don't know why every doctor who goes there says that kids are being deliberately targeted, because the frequency of kids with head and chest wounds is exponentially higher than just the normal rate that Israel are killing kids. When even that is like a metric or a yardstick, well, that says it all. But then, oh no, I don't know. And you'd have to be pretty ignorant now not to have seen the pictures and videos that go around social media. I've seen things that I will never be able to unsee. I can't deny that is happening. How Luke Akehurst can. It just shows how reprehensibly amoral he is.
You know better than genocide scholars and medical experts, medics who served in Gaza.
Well, I know what I believe.
But it's not based on any facts, is it?
It's the feelings over facts thing. Yeah. And that's it. Well, I know what I believe. Okay. And I guess that's it. Is just his normal complexion hides how embarrassingly poor he should be, because even if he normally had the complexion of a Caucasian goth hermit, then his face would be equally red with embarrassment at this point with answers like that.
But why? How come I'm in the same point of assessment as the British government is?
The British government is legally implicated in the crimes of trying to...
So now we get into... they're all genocidal, the British government...
But if you arm a genocide, it makes you complicit. And why did the internet...
Arm a genocide?
Do you think it's...
We stopped arms exports in the summer of last year.
No, we don't. We provide crucial components for F-35 jets, and I'm sure you know about the Arms Trade Treaty 2014.
Okay, obviously what he said about stopping arms... Excuse me a second. Dry throat. even if what he said about arms exports were true, then that doesn't exactly make a sense. We stopped it last year. Come on, this has been going on for 80 years. Just, oh well. Even if we did genuinely stop, which we didn't, as Owen Jones is illustrating, as I'm sure a lot of you already know about the F-35 component parts and Elbit systems, and so on and so forth. Like really, yeah. Adding to this all began on October 7th thing, of course, that'll be his rhetoric. But for all the decades before that, when this was still happening, it's okay. We get a moral pass to it because we stopped last year. It's like, you know. Oh, I was going to make a long-winded analogy there. Let's just get through the rest of Akehurst's dross. Put my teeth in.
If you provide components for F-35 jets implicated in war crimes or genocide, then you are legally complicit. Do you know that?
No, I don't. Okay, I think we've probably exhausted it. I mean, you're not going to get the answers you want.
Well, I know, but you're a pro-Israel lobbyist. It seems like you don't actually know what you're talking about at all. And you've been very this is your subject.
No, you've got a set of opinions. I've got a different set.
Opinions aren't facts. Facts aren't opinions. I've not heard the truth at all. It's all about what Luke Akehurst thinks and feels and opinions. That completely overrides what all those organisations, charities, doctors, so on and so forth were saying.
But you don't have any facts, that's the problem.
Well, that's it. That's the end of just this segment. But if you want to check out the full thing, like I said, go and have a look. But he just couldn't help himself there at the end. He looks as though he was going to walk away. But maybe it's just out of sheer ego and refusal to back down that he stands there and still responds to Owen's questions. Luke Akehurst. Grade A twat. Okay, people. Just one last bit on UK politics, and then we'll get on to the latest on the Flotilla. So these dodgy PPE contracts that took place during COVID, long story short, £122 million has to be repaid by Baroness Michelle Mone after her company got the contract for surgical gowns that turned out to be a load of crap, basically. This is so bad that even Kemi Badenoch makes the valid point that she should be stripped of her peerage, same way as Mandy should. So she became a Tory peer. The article reminds us in 2015, put up by David Cameron, but lost the whip following the revelations about the contract to supply medical gowns. So the money was split between her and a partner, I think. And God knows what they've done with it, because apparently that was apparently the 60 million profit that they got. Most of it's vanished because said company have had to call in liquidators, because there's less than, well, there's about £600,000 in the company accounts apparently. So what's happened to all that money, all those millions and millions of pounds? And we've seen Michelle Mone hyping herself up on social media in exotic locations and so on and so forth. Maybe that's a hint. Just seeing what this... Oh yeah, just... because it's about Badenoch, mentions that she wants to forget about zero emissions targets. Doing a full Trump, but that's another subject. And this has been far too long coming, this thing with Michelle Mone. She's trying to say that she's been scapegoated. However, when you're coming after all these people who took all of that public money, Matt Hancock had a lot to do with those dodgy dealings. We remember the story about his friend, the pub landlord, for example. This is just another one of them. The fast tracking of these contracts. So that was a good few years ago now. And we want every penny back, please. And she definitely should lose the peerage. Should go to prison for that. And if you stole £122, you'd likely be charged and have to appear in court almost immediately. For it to go on for years, having pilfered 122 million, just says it all about justice in this country, really. So I just wanted to quickly mention that one, people. Be glad to see the back of her, to be honest. Your typical Tory peer, that is. Good to see you in the chat, Andy. Ruth Guthrie's with us as well. Can see a few new faces. Well, familiar, but new this evening. So, people, I want to get onto the Flotilla now. It really was tense today. It was tense last night. I was watching it live as the boats were getting boarded. I had to go to bed at one point. I just had to be up early today, but yeah, it was incredibly tense, and there was still several vessels left. And it does appear that at least one of them got through, which is monumental. The Makino. Although the status of the crew, I think, is still unverified, or it was just before I came to you on the stream this evening. Several of those who were, of course, illegally kidnapped and detained have had their videos released. Greta Thunberg was one of the first to be captured. They went for the lead ship first, and the ones with the most well-known figures on them: Greta Thunberg, Nkola Mandela, and so on and so forth. So of the approximately 50 ships, one of them got through. This is historical. This is monumental. And it goes to show that it can be done. And that is a foot in the door for what could hopefully potentially be a corridor opening now, because also shortly before I came to you on the stream, 45 vessels immediately began to head from Turkey towards Gaza. So it may have already begun, that people have realised that this is doable. And it was through a number of factors: the weight of numbers, 50 vessels versus approximately 20 Israeli naval vessels. I'll just try and bring up an article here so we've got something visual in the background just while I'm yapping here. Sorry, I didn't have as much time to prepare for the stream as I normally do. Not that I have tons, but even less than usual. Hope everybody's been treated well. We've of course heard stories before of how detainees, illegal prisoners really, have been treated. Again, regular viewers will know my feelings about the way that this gets reported, especially by the BBC et al. Very little, if any, mention of genocide in Gaza. The legality of such interceptions. They would perhaps report this in the same way that they're reporting some travel disruption, or something like that. Yes, the Flotilla's it's just been stopped, you know, by Israel. And oh, you've all heard of Greta Thunberg, by the way. They might make mention of Greta, and then they'll say, the only thing that they will say is, well, Israel consider these people terrorists, don't you know? You're watching the unbiased BBC. Hail Israel. Now here's the weather. You know, that's how they report it. $443 is the estimated number of people detained. Just pointed out, yeah, they were attacked by water cannon, but it doesn't mention that they were also attacked with incendiary devices. They've conveniently omitted that. But the outpouring, the outcry about this has been incredible. Italy is in a full general strike now. 75 cities, all completely shut down. The country is in complete solidarity. Saw some footage from Naples, Florence and Rome earlier. It says here, Colombian president, mentioned a few times on recent streams, Gustavo Petro, expelled all remaining Israeli diplomats from the country in response and denounced the interception as an international crime by Netanyahu. Preach, Petro, preach. Finally, a sentence with some sense. in a BBC news article. Even Giorgia Meloni is becoming increasingly critical of Israel, but she said she didn't support the flotilla for some reason. Hasn't gone as far as to recognise a Palestinian state either, which is another reason the general strike happened. There's a shot of Greta there. They tried to offer her some bread again, she refused it. You know, turn round and go and give it to the Gazans if you want to feed somebody who needs it. I ate hours ago, not days ago, and it was more than a morsel. Here in the UK, people have gathered in Parliament Square in solidarity. I've also seen some footage from Glasgow as well. There were several meetings across the country. There was one here in Manchester today as well. Obviously, a lot of focus has been elsewhere in Manchester today with what happened. But all over the country, all over the world, Greece, Italy, Germany, Tunisia and Turkey. The actions have also drawn criticism from Pakistan, Bolivia and Malaysia. And everybody who was on board, who's released one of these videos, has encouraged people to get in touch with their MPs, the ambassadors around the world, whatever political representatives they might have. So please do, because there were British people on board these flotillas. I can actually reveal at this point, people. I forgot about this earlier. Someone who I know was on one of the boats. Well, not a close friend, someone who I've met a couple of times. Don't want to over embellish or anything, but a fellow JSO supporter was on one of the vessels and was captured. I won't name them because as far as I know they've not been named on anything that's officially been put out. Another British activist was on board a different vessel as well. So we shouldn't stand for this. A lot's been said as well about those navies that did join the vessel turning tail and running off as soon as the IDF showed up, which I think was, a bit of a hollow sentiment, a bit of a hollow gesture. I think in Italy's case they were only scheduled to follow the flotilla until the 30th, which is why they turned around. Spain and Turkey as well, though they really should have got it together, and stuck it out, because more than one vessel would have probably made it over there, not just the Makino. So I've not been able to check any updates since I started the stream, but I do hope that the crew of the Makino are well. Just want to say well done to everybody for getting through. Hope everybody is well, that they returned safely. There's, like I said, a massive diplomatic situation and crisis about this now. Just casually remind you, I'm not sure about the genuity of it, but apparently Kim Jong-un did say that he would launch nukes if Greta Thunberg was killed. And like Colombia, yeah, ambassadors should be expelled, you know. That's the way it should go. DJ Super Tiny, good to see you in the chat. Well, I guess I'll do a customary skim to the end of the article, people. You'll all know why. Well, regular viewers will by now. It's got to be here somewhere. Where is it? Where are they? Where are the two sentences? They must be somewhere. Maybe they got my letter. That's still not been acknowledged, by the way. The email, not letter. Did it with a quill and an inkwell. Dear BBC. I wrote it in oldie English on vellum. What an effort, though. You really have to applaud the efforts of this flotilla. I can't say just how great and weird it was, the news of this coming through at the same time as the Manchester attack. But when I finally got confirmation that the Makino had made it, I was quite delighted, yeah, because there were mixed reports at first that they'd been boarded. And there you go, so I'll keep up to speed with that. I'm going to be making a separate vid with clips and stuff, so do keep an eye out for it. Yes, Aaron, 77 years since the Nakba, the catastrophe, and still no apology, no historical reparations, in fact, still complicity. But take it from this British citizen, ladies and gentlemen, they're them's, brothers and sisters. I'm utterly ashamed of the UK's official position on this, the refusal to recognise the genocide, as well as the ongoing complicity, of course. Goes without saying. Yes, Andy, I sent my letter to the BBC by the fastest pigeon post that 2 guineas can buy. Oh yes, spared no expense. 2 guineas? It's a long way to London, it's like 200 miles, you know. I'll just speak to that quickly, actually. I saw someone share a screenshot of their train ticket that they bought on the day of travel to get to London. Advanced discounted fares, whatever, had already sold out, and the only choices left was first class and the option. So for anyone outside of the UK, it probably has a better rail network than we do. About 200 miles. It was £350. That's going on €400 for a return. and you don't even go into a different country for your £400. You could probably, you know, on budget airlines or whatever, get 6, 7, maybe more flights than that for that amount of money. I don't know, but how's about that? Yeah, just wanted to highlight that. Rip off Britain yet again. Next item now, people. Yeah, like I said, a friend of mine. This is Paul Bowers, who you can see with the Vote Green sign there. He's standing in Cheshire and West Cheshire council by-election this evening. We'll wish him the best of luck. No word about the results at the moment, but I think Paul thinks it's going to be a close one from what he's been saying. This is a friend of mine, fellow JSO supporter as well. We've done actions together. I'm going to share an interview that I did with him a few years back. In fact, almost 3 years to the day. It was on the 4th of October 2022 in Parliament Square when we did the roadblock. That was the northern contingent of JSO. We're all northerners there. 54 of us got arrested, which was a record at the time for JSO, I believe. Just getting distracted and slightly reminiscing there. But yeah, just after I did the interview, I went to the other side of the square and joined one of the blocks myself and got arrested. I was later acquitted, actually, as was everybody else in my trial group. So good luck, Paul. I doubt he's watching. He's probably too busy biting his fingernails at this moment. In fact, I will just have a quick look. I'm just going to have a quick Google. I know it's quite a niche thing to look for, but just on the off chance there might have been a very quick count and announcement, or okay, I don't think, no, there's not been any official result announced yet. I'm just on the Cheshire West and Chester Council page now. But he's a great guy, and this is the interview that I did with him. This was just for JSO stuff, for our social media that I did the interview for a few years ago. My left eye wasn't even a thing back then. Yeah, and I think this went round, did pretty well on Instagram and TikTok with the other interviews I did, so. Good afternoon. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Councillor Paul Bowers and I'm from Cheshire West and Chester.
What brings you here to Parliament Square today, Councillor?
I have tried every democratic avenue I can. I've stood for Parliament, I've got elected as high as I can, and there is just absolutely no way the political system is anywhere near beginning to tackle climate breakdown. And our only option, and it isn't what we choose, is civil resistance, because non-violent civil resistance is our only way to make the changes required.
And if you were in the House of Commons tomorrow at PMQs and you got the opportunity to ask one question, what would you ask?
I would ask why this government of patriots, while the country was in mourning for the death of the Queen, extended another 100 fossil fuel licences for the North Sea, which ties us into catastrophic ecocidal use of oil and gas for the next 30 or 40 years, and then broke their own manifesto's promises by bringing back fracking, by simply changing the rules as to what's acceptable for earthquakes. It's hypocrisy beyond belief.
Thank you very much, Paul. Apologies for the shaky cam, I was full of coffee. Yeah, when you're on action phases, plenty of coffee does help. So that's Paul Bowers, yeah, who's standing for the Green Party. Today I'll wish him well. And, well, you can just see over his shoulder there's some people starting to go through the warnings and then arrest phase. I do remember just after I'd interviewed Paul, actually, I think I was just about to go and start interviewing somebody else on the same block that he was on. I was on a separate block, as I said, on the other side of the square. And so a lot of some of the American tourists, shall we say, stand out somewhat. Generally tall, portly fellows with baseball caps, and they completely adorned in their local sports teams stuff, you know. I think this one, I can't remember, I might have got the team wrong, it might have been a different team, but I think it was all Green Bay Packers stuff. And he started to walk over to one of the blocks, and I was wondering, obviously with de-escalation in mind, could this potentially be someone who wants to start a bit of aggro or whatever, because the police at the time sort of had the back to him, and he started to walk over, and I started to walk over at the same time. This is whilst the police were in the middle of the arrest procedure with someone, the 5-stage warning, or just starting to arrest them, I remember. And he taps your man, this policeman, on the shoulder, and he turns round, and it's just such a typical American touristy thing. He's just, pardon me, do you know the way to Buckingham Palace? Like, for fuck's sake. So that's just right by one of the entrances to Westminster Station. He probably just literally came straight up the fucking stairs at the tube station and just asked the first copper who he saw, because he got off at the wrong stop. There's better stops to get off if you want Bucks Palace, like Trafalgar Square or St James's Park. But anyway, whatever. Just in the middle of the procedure, that was pretty weird. So yeah, Paul making some good points there. And here we are 3 years later. That was when Liz Truss was in office, by the way, when that interview took place, October 4th, 2022. And yeah, as much as we didn't want the bragging rights, we're getting the we told you so's, but did manage to stop the new fossil fuel licenses, and that was the whole point of it. But also, speaking of JSO stuff, that's been another announcement today. 6 of the gantry climbers from the M25, that's the main motorway around London for anybody outside the UK, but JSO attached themselves to gantries. I wasn't part of that action myself. That was in early November. I'm going to say November 3rd for some reason, off the top of my head. Again, 2022. But all 6 found guilty, but still defiant. And yeah, a few of my friends you can see in the picture there. Really brave action. However, one of the reasons I'm highlighting this particular case, it's another one where mentioning the climate crisis, mentioning climate change wasn't allowed in courts as part of the legal defence, and also the Crown Prosecution Service denied the existence of a climate crisis. Now, I'll just repeat something I've said many a time, but for anybody who hasn't heard it, in almost any other crime that you'd go to court for trial, you would your motivations would be considered. Let's say if you were, the charge was aggravated assault, then the motivations behind that assault would be part of the trial, to just for a court and the Crown Prosecution Service to stick their fingers in the ears and deny the existence of what is now demonstrably, scientifically provable by all accounts, bar a fraction of 1% of grifters with phony qualifications and unpeer-reviewed reports full of pseudo-scientific garbage. You know, it is a thing, and it should be acknowledged as a thing in the courts. So yeah, the motivation and the necessity of that, for anybody who doesn't remember or isn't familiar with this particular action, it did shut down the M25 for 2 days. Was it 2 days? Sorry, no, it went on for 4 days. Multiple gantries. So these are the gantries that have the signs on for the next exits or what have you. And another friend of mine, Louise Harris, did a very well-known video that went viral at the time. A very emotional plea of why somebody, why do 20-year-olds have to get up on gantries to beg for a livable future, and so on and so forth. Really powerful, and she later released a single, which almost made it to #1 in the in Christmas week. That would have been the following December. So yeah, a really powerful action. And I've actually myself at other meetings and stuff, people who first started to get involved with JSO. I met a guy once who was actually held up on the M25 during one of those days. He was actually on his way to a friend's funeral, and even he realised the necessity of why that action was carried out, and later got involved himself. And yeah, that really was an interesting, emotional conversation. Something that sticks out in my mind. I've obviously had a lot of conversations about the climate crisis in my life, and even more since JSO was a thing. So yeah, unfortunately found guilty, but the 6 there, the names haven't been officially put out on this post, so I won't mention them here, but just want to say still super proud of my friends. Another shout out to the members is in order at this point in proceedings. thank you very much, members. It's been great to see a lot of you on tonight's stream as well. So if you want to join the list, it's just 99p, a fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage, with many perks to enjoy, so please do check that out. Make sure that everybody's hit thumbs up on the stream this evening as well. I'm getting slightly distracted. I think I need to get some new headphones. One of the one of the speakers in the earpiece is a bit dodgy. Keeps making me think that the background music's cutting out. We've got Kevin Logan, so we'll go with Kev. Do subscribe if you're not familiar with this great content provider as well. We're going to raid in to Kevin Logan in a few months at the end of the stream. Don't know what on earth is going on in the chats. Okay, but maybe we can continue this conversation over on Kevin Logan's stream. Hit thumbs up when you get over there as well. Give us a shout out in the chat. So yeah, that will be all from me from the Brews at 10 on what has been a very emotional and somewhat tiring day, I have to say. I don't know if that's come across on the stream. But thanks a lot for joining me. I'll be back with you on another stream soon. Take care, everybody. Well, after I'll be seeing you in a bit. Pre-Palestine, power to the people.